Hey y'all, welcome to my tiny kitchen today. I would love to share with you books that I've decided to keep in my tiny kitchen. Well, welcome. I am Miss Katie and you have found me here at Heritage Ways. We share content relating to home, heritage, and hope. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm so glad you found us. Would you consider subscribing and walking life with us? We are very interested in building community, so much so that we sold our home of about 4,000 square feet last year and moved on purpose into an RV. We travel the nation not to find fun and adventure necessarily, but to meet people, because we have found it to be true that after all, friendships are the adventure. So we would love for you to walk life with us here, and maybe we can meet in person one day as my family and I travel around the nation to find ways to serve and encourage folks. As I said, we do travel around the nation. We are a full-time RV family, but we're not defined by that. I'd much rather be defined by the fact that we love heritage, we love the old ways, and we long for the old days. I have loved the old ways and the old things all of my life. I love the old ways of doing things. I love old recipes. I love antiques. I was even raised, and we raised our three oldest children in my family homestead that was built in 1830s. Today, I'm going through my cookbook collection that I decided to keep on board, the RV. Well, this was last October when I made this decision, or even a few months before that. If you've been following us a while, you'll know that we have several videos chronicling the process of selling our home, getting it ready to sell, and I even have a video sharing my cookbook collection with you there at that house. So I would love for you to take a look at that video. I also have a tour of my kitchen in that house that I loved so much. But we're in a different season of life right now, and I did, believe it or not, pare down my cookbook collection in order to bring it on board our RV. Well, it's time now that I pare it down a little more, and what I've decided to do is to put some in a box and kind of rotate, and I'm going to come back and get those others the next time we are here at our home base in Middle Tennessee. Well, let me share with you some of my favorites. These passed the test to get on here in the first place. In no particular order necessarily, but I am going to share my top 10 that I'm deciding to keep on board for the next leg of the trip. I will share those toward the end of the video. The first one is Nourishing Traditions. Yes, I have this on board. I enjoy reading cookbooks. I enjoy reading them almost as much as, well, probably as much as I enjoy using them for cooking. This is a great cookbook. My friend Mary at Mary's Nest uses this cookbook a lot. My Aunt Linda first introduced this to me years ago, and it's very, very good for healthy eating and just really for nourishing foods that are so healthy for our bodies. This is Nourishing Broth. Now, I bought this probably a year or so before we decided to sell the house, and I admit I have not reached for this on board, so this one is going to have to wait. This is a great cookbook. My Aunt Linda gave this one to me. This is from the 60s or 70s. It is Rodell's Naturally Great Foods Cookbook by Nancy Albright. And I failed to mention that the Nourishing books are by Sally Fallon Morrell. It's 1977 by Rodell Press. And you kind of has the feeling of the 70s back in when a lot of people were going back to the earth movement, and kind of like they are today, which is very exciting. But this is a hardback, it's kind of heavy, and I am going to have to put it in the box of friends that I will see later. This is another book that I would consider in the Department of Health, Healthy Living, Trim Healthy Mama. This is a cookbook, but more than that, it is their first book put out by Serene Allison and Pearl Barrett, ladies who live not far from me. I have met Serene a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, talked with her. This is a great book. Some of you might call it a diet. It's really a lifestyle of eating, a way of eating, and it really works. But this is their first book, and it's several pages. I don't know, 600 or 700, and you can see I've got tabs and all kinds of things, but this is not really, this more outlines their plan, and as well as has recipes, but I'll show you another product later that would keep me from having to keep this on board. So this is gonna have to go in my see you later box. This stack of books I call either heritage or miscellaneous, but I lean more towards heritage books. This one, there are a couple that I acquired on the road, and I'm very excited about those. This one is The Lady and Sons Just Desserts by Paula Deen, and this was given to me by an Instagram friend turned real life friend, Miss Barbara. So thank you very much. I'm very excited to have this. I've read it, not cover to cover, but I've read the great majority of this book since she gave it to me less than a month ago. It's very interesting to me. Well, I'm not going to tell how. I'm going to set this aside and tell you why I think this is interesting here in a little bit. This one again has some great recipes. I love this cookbook, but I just didn't reach for it. It just didn't happen, unfortunately, but it is still a great cookbook, and it's on my top list of favorites. Cooking with Smitty's mom, Barbara Smith, with Michael W. Smith, who is a Christian music artist. And it's just their family recipes and stories and photos, and I just love that kind of thing. Love that kind of cookbook. They live not far from us here in Middle Tennessee as well. Now, this one is a great one. This is unique. There's several volumes of this cookbook. Stories and Recipes of the Great Depression of the 1930s. Volume 5. Includes a tribute to the veterans of World War II who were the children of the Great Depression by Rita Van Amber. I love this book so much because, like I said, I love cookbooks that have stories. I'm drawn to that. I really don't want to take this off board. Pickled eggs, New Deal era sandwich spread, refrigerator pickles, growing up in the valley, West Virginia glimpses back. I really don't want to take this off, and I'm kind of leaning toward keeping this really to not for my purposes as much, but just to share content with you, our viewers and subscribers and followers, about heritage. But right now it's going to go in the see you later pile, but I might think twice about this. Stories and Recipes of the Great Depression. The next one is simply called Amish Cooking. I purchased this. It is fairly new. I purchased it from milestonebooks.com about a year ago, frankly, right before we started to sell our house, because I have Mennonite friends about an hour and a half away from here in Middle Tennessee, and they were making cheese products and some things, and I asked about the recipe and they told me about this book. I'm so glad I bought it. It's great. I mean, it is chock full of recipes. It's got 300 something pages, and it's no frills, just like my Amish and Mennonite friends, and it's just awesome. This is a tried and true. This is Miss Daisy's cookbook. Now, Miss Daisy was a friend of my mother's in Nashville, Tennessee's Home Demonstration Club back in the 70s. And Miss Daisy went on to write many cookbooks. She was on television. She had tea rooms. This is an amazing book. This is Miss Daisy Celebrates Tennessee. It was printed in 1995, and there Miss Daisy wrote something to me, to Katie, Celebrate Tennessee, Daisy King, August 15th, happy birthday. This is a really awesome book, but again, and I'm finding a theme here that I really didn't realize, but this is full of stories. Tennessee's heritage. There is a story about every county. There are stories about companies that are and were in Tennessee. Every county, Pickett County, Polk County, Middleton Rutledge family. That's got flour on that page because it's a 5-flavor pound cake recipe that's very popular in my family. See, I make notes in my cookbooks. Just goes on and on. This is an awesome cookbook. Good, used for catering, it says. Tea room, brand muffins. But again, it's hardback, and it's one I've decided I can do without for a few months. I did mention catering just now. I did have a catering business back a few years ago, and it was very interesting to have your own catering business. I'll just say that. this is my newest. I'm very excited about this. This is from my real life friend Stacy Lynn Harris, whom we met in person about less than a month ago, and she and I traded cookbooks. I go ahead and say I authored a cookbook, and she gave me a little bit of help with some questions. She answered some questions on that, and so I met up with her and gave her one of mine, and she did the same, and we traded cookbooks. It was really fun to do. I have loved looking through this. I haven't had this as long as I've had the others, so I'm still enjoying reading this. I mean, the photos are fabulous. Look at that, jalapeno cornbread. She's just garlic mashed potatoes, blueberry pie. I mean, she's just a gorgeous lady from the inside out. She is a homesteader. She's very busy with all of her children. She homeschools her 7 children and just runs a magnificent southern home in Alabama. And I'm just so proud to know her and to have her cookbook. Okay, are you ready for the next batch of books that I'm going to say, I love you, but I'll need to see you later? Well, these first 2 fall under the category of frugal, and I love these things. I've had them since the 90s, and Miserly Moms and Miserly Meals by Jenny McCoy. These are both fabulous books. This one is Miserly Moms Living on One Income in a Two-Income Economy, and this is 1996. And this one came out after the fact. Can you see all my post-it notes and my marks and just more of the same, really more recipes and meal ideas. And then just some miscellaneous books. I've got Camp Dutch Oven Cooking from Lodge, because of course Lodge is made here in Tennessee, and that's the cast iron that we use. Pioneer Camp Cooking. This is a great little book as well, but it's not one I reach for regularly, so it's going to go in the see you later box. This is an old one, Brown Bagger's Cookbook, Better Homes and Gardens. I do believe I probably found this at Goodwill, and I don't see the date of when it was printed, but I'm convinced it was in the 70s by looking at it. And you know, this is a great book too, but it's just not anything I'm going to be using on board anytime soon. Look, you think that's from the 70s? These Early Morning Turnovers, Fruit Nut Mix. This is a good one, brown bagging. And then 2 more before we're going to go on and show you the 10 that I decided that will go on the next leg of our journey with us. Fix It and Forget It Cookbook. You get a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, there are about an average of 4 recipes on each page. I have reached for this book on our travels. So it's kind of in the, I'm not sure pile. I think it's going, but I'm not sure. Crockett. Bought this in Highlands, North Carolina on one of our trips. This is another one, 1993. And it's a really good one. It's got a lot of great recipes. For years and years, I always reached for this for my crock pot cooking. Let's talk about the top 10, or the 10 that I decided would come on board with us this next time around as we leave to go find ways to serve and encourage folks. First of all, I do have my tried and true recipe file. This is something that a lady made for us when we got married, a lady who taught with my mother, and she made this for us, decorated it. A lot of these are taste of home recipes that I cut out years ago, and some are handwritten cards, but I really like to have this on board because I do refer to this file. Let's talk about the 10 that I have decided to keep on board. Are you excited? I am. I want to talk about these 2 first. I'll talk about them at the same time. Cheap Eating by Pat Edwards and Eat Healthy for $50 a Week by Rhonda Barfield. Now, the Cheap Eating, if you're looking for it, it is 1993 is the copyright. This was in 96. These books got me through a lot of interesting times of leaving full-time employment and really dedicating my life and really coming back to the career that I wanted as a little girl, and that's to be a wife and mommy, a homemaker. And so these books helped me to understand, along with the Miserly Moms books, helped me to understand what it meant to be frugal, and just gave me a wealth of ideas. I can't recommend these two enough. I'm going to keep these. I have referred to them and brushed up on them while we've been traveling, because once again, we are in a financial tight spot with what we're choosing to do. We're kind of like missionaries, and we're on missionary salary. So we are finding ways once again at this season in our lives to be as frugal as possible, and that comes with eating frugally as well. So these two books will stay with us for now. This is another one. This is a little more recent. Some of you might follow this lady on YouTube and other places, but it's Tara Kellum and Jill Cooper. Dining on a Dime. Great cookbook, and I have used this book. It is full of ideas and recipes as well. Really, I highly recommend this book as well. And I bought this. It was used off of eBay, and this is from 1976 as well, and it's just a really great book by a Mennonite community, More with Less Cookbook, suggestions by Mennonites on how to eat better and consume less of the world's limited food resources. So a really great book. It's got a lot of tips, how to be meatless on certain days, and just I really recommend this book as well if you're interested in frugal eating, healthy eating, eating off the land and with what you have. Okay, we have 6 more to go. I'm going to make it quick. Let's talk about this one. This is just a one, you might have seen these. This is just a cookbook where my mother gave me, and I just have different recipes, and I've asked different lady friends through the years, especially when I was younger, to write in their handwriting certain recipes, and that's what that is. So I've got some dear ones here that I refer to over and over. This is an Amish cookbook. I have many Amish cookbooks in storage for when we do settle down into our next homestead. This is one we decided to keep on board because it is well loved, especially by the children, to make their pancakes every Wednesday morning. Miller Family Cookbook, put out by the Amish in Ohio. Wonderful cookbook. Many of you have heard me talk about Aunt Coco. You have seen me cook pork and sauerkraut, and the maple syrup poem that I read to you recently. All kinds of things that Aunt Coco, my great aunt who has passed on, she shared in this cookbook that she took the time and the trouble to write out for future generations. And she's got stories, she's got history, there's different I've got marks all over the place. This is such an awesome cookbook. It's not for sale to the public, but I do share many recipes from this cookbook to you, and I'll continue to do so, as well as heritage stories. So again, a cookbook full of stories and heritage and awesome eating. This cookbook I will keep on board to use. I mentioned already about the Trim Healthy Mama eating lifestyle. This is a great cookbook put out by the ladies. Illustrations, I mean, it is chock full of recipes and information. You don't even have to be following their lifestyle plan to enjoy all of these awesome recipes. And I sometimes share some of these recipes with you on YouTube here as well. And the last 2 books are dear to my heart. This one again is just a collection. This was given to us when we got married. I love this little book, but it's just a collection of recipes that I've collected through the years. I mean, since I was 7, some of them. I've loved this for the almost 30 years we've been married. And the last one, I'm going to admit, is dear to my heart at this point in my life because it was a labor of love. For 12 years, I worked and I procrastinated and I worked on it, and I finally finished my cookbook, Katie's Cookbook, From Katie's Kitchen, Volume 1. And yes, I've already started on Volume 2. But this is my cookbook that I have written. It's my heritage to my children, my grandchildren, and further down. It's full of heritage stories. And that's why I was comparing it to Paula Deen's. When I was reading hers, I thought, oh man, one would think that I was copying her, and I had never seen her cookbooks before. So If you like a cookbook, even if you don't know the author, a cookbook about heritage and the story surrounding it, that's what this cookbook is. And it's got 205 recipes. It's 151 pages, big size, and it's got a lot of great recipes that I'm excited to share with you all. I wrote this for seasoned cooks, for new cooks. I wrote this with folks in mind who knew me and knew me growing up, and folks who've never met me. So I really hope that you will enjoy it. I've gotten a lot of great response from this, from folks who have never met me, and I'm so excited that it can bless so many people. So there's a link down below, and where you can purchase one of From Katie's Kitchen cookbooks, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, thanks for joining me today. This was fun for me to share my cookbook collection in my tiny home, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. Maybe you got some great ideas of cookbooks that you could order. Let me know down below if you have never heard of any of these, or if you have some of these and you love them, or if you have a favorite cookbook, it's just dog-eared and it's stained and you just love it and refer to it over and over. Let me know that as well. I would love to hear all of your cookbook talk. But for now, thanks for joining us, and I hope you'll come back and see me next week. Bye-bye.